Zimbabwe's First Lady, Grace Mugabe, has not attended a regional summit in South Africa on Saturday following allegations she assaulted a woman. 20-year-old model Gabriela Engels has accused Mugabe of storming into a hotel room where she was with the First Lady's sons and hitting her with an electrical cable. Security sources say Mugabe was granted diplomatic immunity on Friday, allowing her to return to Zimbabwe and avoid prosecution. Dirk Kotze is a professor of political science at the University of South Africa, and he joins us now live from Pretoria to talk about this diplomatic fallout. Professor, can there be another motive behind the grounding of the South African Airways planes other than the fallout over Grace Mugabe and, quote, compliance issues?
Well, the original reason for it is that the Zimbabwe airplane was grounded actually in Johannesburg first because they did not have all the documentation that was necessary for its departure. That led then to the sort of the reciprocal response from Zimbabwe's side. The fact that today, on the Saturday, three flights from the South African Airways were not allowed to depart from Harare. So it's a typical sort of diplomatic reciprocal responses that we've seen with this. But I think there is now a link to the situation of Mrs. Mugabe, the president's wife, the fact of the incident that you referred to, and the fact that our Minister of Police have given an instruction that she must not be allowed to leave the country before the investigation has been completed.
Now, this whole story about the planes not having permission is kind of strange, especially because this line has been operating for over 20 years. But more importantly, how can this row now be resolved?
Well, the relationship between South Africa and Zimbabwe is an ongoing one, and there has been in the past some diplomatic problems. But fortunately, at this moment, all the leaders of the Southern African region are here in Pretoria for the regional organizations summit, the Southern African Development Community, and that includes President Mugabe. So my expectation is that a diplomatic or political solution will be found and that they will come to some form of settlement outside the court with this model who was assaulted by Mrs. Mugabe.
Can you please give us some context here? Who stands to lose more if this crisis indeed escalates? Will it be Zimbabwe or South Africa?
Well, the relationship between South Africa and Zimbabwe is a very uneven one. South Africa, in terms of its economic power, its political power, its military power, is vastly much bigger than Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe also, because of the problems caused by President Mugabe in his relationship with many parts of the world, including the West, is that Zimbabwe's economy is in a very bad state at this point in time, and they export a lot of products as well as electricity from South Africa. So in that sense, there is a dependence relationship between Zimbabwe and South Africa, and they have very little leverage in order to force a diplomatic crisis in this situation. So unfortunately, it is very difficult for Zimbabwe to really make their point, to really demonstrate that they are not very happy with the treatment of Mrs. Mugabe in South Africa because of this uneven relationship.